An entitled restaurant owner steals the money I was giving to one of his waitresses as a Christmas gift for a job well done. But as a result, he only gives her a small portion of the money that I gave to her in a sealed Christmas card, claiming that tips are shared throughout the restaurant and that she had no right to the money in the first place. And I was so upset that I approached this guy and made a scene and demanded that he give her the money back. Here's what happened. So I go to a local lunch spot a few times a week, and I am waited on by the same young woman every time I eat there. She is always very polite, and she knows I have limited time, so she lets me leave cash on the table for my bill rather than stand in line at the register. I always leave her the change, probably about $6 on a $14 tab, something like that. Last week, I dropped off a Christmas card for her. I tucked a $100 bill in the card, thanking her for her service throughout the year. She wasn't there, so I left the sealed card with the owner. Yesterday, I went back for lunch, and my favorite waitress was there. As soon as she saw me, she smiled and thanked me for my Christmas card, as well as the $20 that I gave her. And when I heard that, I was shaken up a little bit. I told her, no, I left you $100. And that's when she told me something that absolutely blew my mind. She said that the owner opened her card, and since all tips are shared by the staff, he gave everyone a share of the $100 bill that I gave to this one waitress. And when I found this out, I was absolutely floored. This meant the guy had opened a sealed card that I delivered. He took the $100 out and put $20 back into the card. As I was leaving, I saw the guy coming out of the back, and I asked him to speak with me. He came over and I gave him a piece of my mind. I told him that I don't appreciate him opening up something that was private, that I had left for the waitress, and he either owed me $80 or the waitress. He started explaining that all the tips are shared, but I was not having it, so I just cut him off right when he said that. I told him, you do not open a sealed card with someone else's name on it. If I had known that was going to happen, I would have never left it with the owner. He then tried to tell me that he knew that there was probably money in it, and he wanted to be fair to everyone who worked for him. So I asked the guy behind the counter, hey buddy, did you get $20 from this guy? And the guy didn't answer, but when the owner looked away, the dude shook his head very quickly. I yelled back into the kitchen, hey, did any of you get $20 from this guy last week? There were lots of confused looks. Eventually, the owner tried to calm things down and tried to comp my tuna sandwich. Then he actually got angry at me for causing a scene. He threatened to call the cops on me and told me to never return to his diner ever again. So I left the restaurant, but first I told the waitress that I would be back around today at about noon to give her the $80. She insisted that she didn't want it, but I'm making sure that she gets it. Fast forward to about lunchtime, and I meet up with the waitress across the street, and I try to give her the $80 that she deserves, but she wouldn't take it and told me that the owner gave it back to her right after she finished her shift. And while I guess I don't have a place to eat lunch anymore, I'm just satisfied that this waitress got the money that she absolutely deserved. I am honestly blown away that the owner seriously thought he could get away with that. He ripped open someone else's Christmas gift and decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a piece of that pie and I'm gonna distribute it amongst all my employees. He literally stole money from this waitress, and there really is no good excuse for that. Also, I really cannot stand restaurants where they make all the tips a shared experience, because you know what, that should go to the waitress. And if you have to share your tips like that, then it's probably just the owner of the restaurant not paying people a livable wage, and that's not fair for anybody, in my personal opinion. I also don't think the original poster did anything wrong in this scenario. They stood up for themselves and they told this owner exactly what was up, because what they did was wrong. They should not have opened up someone else's Christmas card and then stolen 80% of the money. And I mean, to justify that as a tip is so disgusting. It was a gift and he literally stole it. So he should be lucky that the police were not involved in this situation. And it also begs the question, has he done this with other employees before? It really makes you think, if he's willing to do this to one other waitress, then I bet he'd probably be willing to do that to other people as well. So good for the original poster for setting the record straight and putting this guy in his place. And hopefully, for the sake of the waitress in this story, she's able to find another job that won't try to steal from her outright when a customer is just trying to give her a gift. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, linked down below in the description. My boyfriend's attitude and demeanor is slowly wearing at me despite my best efforts to try and stay with him, and I don't know what to do. So for a bit of background, my boyfriend's argumentative style is what he described to me as debative. He won't apologize, he won't stop, and he won't budge until he is properly proven wrong in his eyes. I can rarely prove him wrong because it's subjective. I can count on my hands the number number of times he said sorry to me. Prior to these 4 major arguments happening, he had told me to stop telling my friends about any of the arguments because speaking to my friends and getting their thoughts only gave them a bad view of who he is as a person and didn't help our relationship. So I had to stop altogether. He doesn't work. He doesn't go to college right now. I fell in love with him solely because I loved his personality and the way he used to treat me. I don't and never have asked for any gifts that cost money because I understand his situation. But that then leads us to an argument that ensued. I mentioned to him once at the start of the relationship that I would like to receive real flowers as a surprise gift one of these days. It wasn't meant to pressure him because I know he wasn't capable at the moment, just to let him know what made me feel loved. I later brought it up another time, explaining how beautiful bouquets are and how I'd never gotten them before. He said no to getting me flowers like how I wanted, and instead, he would get them for me in the form of a houseplant since it would last longer overall. I had explained that a houseplant didn't hold the same weight that bouquets hold when it comes to romantic gestures, and we began arguing about it non-stop. I then ended up getting called ungrateful, and I stopped asking for flowers altogether. When my birthday rolled around, it had been very rough for me because I didn't have any of my family around other than my mom because they all live several states away. She had done something to lower my energy, and I needed to spend a little time alone to feel better. During that time, I had told my boyfriend I wanted to be alone for just a little bit. The prior night, he had gone to sleep early, when usually he'll stay up until like 12 o'clock at night to wish me happy birthday like we normally do. Instead, I paid it no mind, excited for what may come the next day. When I woke up, he never wished me happy birthday, whether verbally or over text message. He instead sent an automated email that came in at 12 o'clock. He never got me a gift, and he even went to bed early before my birthday had ended. When I told him I needed some alone time, I ended up snapping out of it a few hours later. I video called him, and still throughout the day, he went about his day as if it was just a normal day and there was nothing special about it in the slightest. The next day, when I confronted him about this, I got called ungrateful and unappreciative again, simply because I wanted any kind of words of affirmation. For perspective, because we're long distance, in the past I've sent him voice messages of me singing happy birthday while also sending him cupcakes or even money. I've also in the past sent him equipment for his laptop as well as headsets. His love language is gift giving, whereas mine is words of affirmation. At one point in the relationship, my boyfriend tried to get me to admit that I had some kind of mental issue related to BPD. If you're unfamiliar with BPD, it stands for bipolar disorder, and it's a mental disorder tied to the instability of moods. He even tried to make me take a test just to try and prove his point that I have some kind of mental disorder, but I pushed them all away, and I was scared because I knew if I admitted to aligning with any of it, which I did not, he would use it against me consistently. As I said, we've argued a lot, and he said that the reason we do this all the time is because I couldn't have a consistent mood in the slightest. These arguments were always done over text messaging, and for him to be able to tell what emotion I was feeling through our text messages would be near impossible without me specifying. It's even hard to tell how he's feeling if we don't stop and ask. He spent hours accusing me of having bipolar disorder, and when I got upset and cussed him out, his accusations made him just flat out start saying that I definitely had it. At that point, I broke up with him again, and I was shocked from how he had shut me down completely and was refusing me the opportunity to dispute anything I was saying. He then started to publicly embarrass me by making things up online that revolved around him indirectly letting me know that he was talking about me to his friends. He would always leave cryptic messages like, "You were right, I'm glad we're through." Previously, I had spoke to him about doing things like possibly getting back together with me and about how it made me feel bad. When I asked him what he told his friends, he said they were positive and supportive of me and him when he went to them regarding me cussing him out. And this all later turned out to be a complete lie that he was just trying to use against me, later telling me how much his friends can't stand me. And while I'm not upset about his friends not liking me, he had in fact started speaking to me the same way, just like multiple times before, calling me out and insulting me. He always said that when he went to them, it would be with both of our perspectives. And I trusted him when he said that. I later found out from one of his closest friends that he wasn't aware that my boyfriend was calling me names, as well as talking down to me. As I said before, admitting to any mental dysfunction scared me because I knew how it would go. He had grown tired of me breaking up with him him, and I had grown tired of working with his argument style just to try and get an apology for something that had hurt me. I had become distant and eventually said I needed some time just to rejuvenate, while also asking if we could just be friends for a little bit, not wanting a permanent breakup of some kind. But he took this as a permanent breakup. For Christmas, I had bought him a laptop to replace his broken one, all because he doesn't work, and he said he'd eventually become an artist. I wanted to see his dream come true, so I supported him in this effort. Lo and behold, on Christmas, he broke up with me. He said that I was a covert narcissist who had mistreated him this entire time. I ended up reflecting on what he said, looking into what a covert narcissist is, as well as the identifying traits. These traits were my moodiness, my shy nature, my depression, as well as me supposedly holding grudges. I was never moody for no reason. It always stemmed from something. Things that he saw as a small issue were big to me, the flowers being a perfect example in the beginning. Covert narcissists are usually shy, so I checked that box off. Depression was also part of it, so I checked that box as well. I did hold feelings of hurt from not getting flowers or a birthday gift for a long time, so I checked that box as well when it came to this category. There was also one of a need for admiration, which stemmed from him rarely giving me any kind of compliments. All the compliments that he ever did give me were purely physical, so I just didn't ask for more because he constantly told me my expectations of him were too high. When I asked for them, he said no and would tell me that he was saving them for special times. When I tried to bring it up, he said I was insecure and it only stroked my ego. With everything on the table and a bunch more arguments, we have eventually gotten back together again. I still want to be with him, and it's hard giving up on your first love when things used to feel so good during the first 9 months. I went back, trying to reason with him, but I knew I couldn't get back with him without admitting to having something. So I said I was a covert narcissist because I do believe I have enough traits for me to align with that. He had me talk to 2 of his friends and admit that I was a narcissist and that I was awful to him. Also, I could prove how committed I was to treating him better. He treats me like an alien now, saying that me trying to reason with him is just gaslighting, stating that I'm just trying to manipulate him. I understand him not trusting me, but I feel like I'm a monster now. I tried to bring up that I feel mistreated as well, but he would never hear me out and would just say that I'm trying to gaslight him again. I'm honestly at a loss of what to do. I'm trying to make this relationship work, but I honestly don't know what to do. Your boyfriend sounds awful. This guy's such a jerk. He is literally forcing you to believe that you're some kind of narcissist, and I can guarantee you that that's probably not the case. He doesn't give you any gifts for your birthday or for Christmas. He broke up with you on Christmas after you bought him a brand new laptop. He refuses to work or go to school and expects basically handouts of some kind just so he can get by. You put all this time and attention into this relationship, but he literally has given nothing back based on what you've described. And his argument style is absolutely ridiculous. And if anything, all the things that he's accusing you of is something that he is literally doing himself. He's the narcissist in this situation. He is 100% the jerk. And in my opinion, you should not be forced to go to his friends just to admit something about yourself that most likely is not true. I mean, he tried to convince you that you had bipolar disorder. Like, come on, this guy is not a good person. So hopefully you can figure this out, because from what you've described, this does not sound like a healthy relationship, and I honestly don't see this ever getting better. My husband has mistreated me for years, claiming that I'm a sponge in our relationship and that I don't contribute anything of value into our marriage. And at this point, I simply don't know what to do. So tonight, my husband called me a sponge. So as it goes, apparently if you're a working mom, married, but your parents haven't contributed to your married life, then you are a sponge to your husband and his parents. After 12 years of marriage, you would think I'd be used to the insults, but no, I'm not. They astound me every time. They hurt like fresh cuts every single time as well. What was his reasoning tonight? Because I refused to ring my estranged dad, who lives overseas, who I don't speak to often, and ask for money to fix our main vehicle, $8,000 to be specific. We do have a second car, which I'm using at the moment, and he does have a work car, so there is no rush on saving this money up, except that he told the mechanic to go ahead even when I specifically told him not to. I come from a single parent family that lived on the poverty line. My mom did a great job raising us 4 kids, long before government welfare was around. My husband is from a middle-class family, and he was my best friend for 14 years before we hooked up, so he was fully aware of my background and my family history. But from the moment that I got pregnant as we planned, he became a complete complete jerk. There is no censorship for him towards me in what kind of family I have, what they fail to do as normal citizens, and what he thinks of me. Several terrible names have been tossed around many times. There have been many comparisons on what he is missing out on by having me as his wife. For context, both of his brothers married millionaires. He also said that he now has so much extra work that he has to do because of me. Now, never mind that I worked full-time in both of my pregnancies and returned to work soon after. And even when I was still on maternity leave, I was admitted into the mental health ward for postnatal depression. Even then, he would call me up every night just to tell me that I was abandoning our baby and that I should stop being stupid. He would say, "You're just a woman. You knew you would have to stay home. You were always going to be a homemaker. So why can't you do it now?" And when I left the hospital, I was working again full-time within the week. I've always worked. I'm a good worker, which is why being a stay-at-home mom didn't work for me. The point is that I've completely had it. After 12 years of not being good enough or smart enough, as well as not having the right family and not getting the correct upbringing, or for being a part of the right social circle, I am simply being told that I'm less than him. Everything I do is wrong in his eyes. I don't say the right things, I don't have the right friends in society, and honestly, I'm just so completely done. I told him that I want a divorce. I told him he was only with me for my dad's money. I told him that my dad isn't his cash cow, and he isn't even my cash cow. So what gives him the right to ask for that? And when I reflect on my relationship with him, did I yell about the time he bought a house without me knowing, or even being a part of it in the first place? He even told me that my name isn't going to be on the title of this new house, because apparently I didn't contribute financially to it, which really is not a surprise because I didn't even know about it. We were married for 3 years at that point, and I was working part-time. The same thing with the cars. My name isn't on any of them, which is something that he loves to bring up frequently. He says, "This is my house. I paid for it. The least you could do is treat my house with respect. I buy you a car and you treat it like garbage." Sometimes he would even take the keys away from me, saying that it's his car, and if I take it, he'll just report me to the police for stealing it. When it comes to this family, I stick around for the kids. I put up with all of this so they can have some kind of relationship with him. In the meantime, I'm getting soul destroyed, and I now have to try and undo all the damage that the kids have heard in regards to me, and it honestly just sucks, and I don't know what to do. This sounds like an awful situation. Your husband treats you like garbage, and he literally is mistreating you left and right. I mean, what kind of husband would take away your keys and be like, "No, you can't drive it, it's my car"? Like, what is he, 12? Like, do you even care about your wife in the slightest? So hopefully this gets worked out for the better. Whether you stick with him or you do go ahead with a divorce, I think you really need to consider all the options in front of you, because this does not sound like a healthy relationship, and you truly do deserve a lot better than this. My girlfriend is constantly accepting attention from other guys, and despite my best efforts to try and be a good boyfriend, she is constantly turning me down and making me feel terrible, and I honestly don't know what to do. So my girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years. Throughout our relationship, she has always been friendly towards guys who give her attention and clearly have intentions with her. I'm not really the super jealous type. I don't really care if she has friends and such, but there are some male friends who send her messages that are clearly flirting with her and trying to get with her in general. Now, this isn't all of them. She does have a few genuine male friends who don't make advances, and they literally are just friends, as well as with me. But these other supposed friends aren't people she's close with, but rather they're just acquaintances from high school, or other people that she knew when she was younger, that started messaging her randomly with intentions that were much more than just being friends. I brought this up to her before, and she said she doesn't always clue in when people flirt with her, and that she thinks they're just trying to be nice. Some guys are more low-key than others, but the giveaway for me is they only want to hang out with her and don't ever want to hang out when I'm around. She doesn't hang out with them that I know of, but I work away for weeks at a time, so who knows? The problem I see is when these guys flirt with her, she'll reply in a friendly way, and she won't flirt back that I know of, but she doesn't exactly turn them down. She's just friendly enough that they'll keep messaging her. She never mentions that she has a boyfriend, and that's the fact that bothers me the most. If a girl messages me, and I see that she's trying to flirt with me in some kind of way, I will be clear that I have a girlfriend and that I'm not interested in anything, and that I do not want her attention. Which makes sense. I don't want attention from other people. I want it from my girlfriend and only her. I don't know if it's a self-esteem thing, but it's honestly really bothering me. We almost broke up this spring because she wouldn't accept any attention from me and would say the other guys guys make her feel good. I make sure to call her beautiful every single day. And when I told her that, her response was that I do it because I need to. Since I'm her boyfriend, I'm obligated to make her feel good, and that what I'm saying doesn't come from the heart like those other guys. I got pretty mad and said, how do you expect me to compliment you if you're just gonna turn down anything I say because you want attention from the other guys? And you can have that whenever you want, but eventually, this is gonna make me stop trying to please you because you've turned down every effort I've ever made. And at that point, I was honestly done. She then opened her eyes a couple days afterwards to see where I was coming from and to see my point. She then said that she would stop taking so much attention from the other guys and would then let me give her attention instead of turning it all down. During those couple of days before she came to a realization, I was incredibly mad, and I decided to follow some girls I found on TikTok. My thinking was that she wants to take all the attention from these other guys, so I might as well follow girls I find attractive, and I did that just to try and make her feel insecure. By the time we made up, I forgot to unfollow one of the accounts, and after she apologized and everything, she found the account the other day and acted like I had cheated on her. The girl lives across the country. It's not like I was able to just go over to her, and I never messaged her or did anything other than follow her, and I even forgot that I did that. I don't know. I feel weird about this whole situation. She gets angry that I followed a girl on TikTok that lives literally across the country, but she can accept attention from these other guys all the time. She hadn't taken any attention for months after that altercation in the spring, but I've noticed slowly over the last 4 months or so that she's slowly been accepting attention from these other guys. And now it's almost the same way it was last spring, except she doesn't turn me down like she did before. I can't help but feel like she's being shady behind my back, because why would she completely freak out about one account that I follow and forgot about on TikTok? Cheaters accuse the other of cheating because they're doing it themselves. I've experienced this in past relationships, and now it's like I'm thinking it all again after she got mad at me about something so small. I don't know. Am I right to be suspicious? To clarify, I never went through her phone. I just see that she's spending so much time talking to these other guys. What should I do? Yeah, something really does not seem right about this situation. For her to freak out and pretend like you're cheating on her, all because you followed some woman on TikTok, when in reality, she's literally talking to all these other guys constantly, is really hypocritical in my opinion. And the fact that she would turn you down and be like, oh, these guys treat me better than you, is really funny to me. Like, she clearly cannot see the good thing in her life right in front of her, but would instead rather have compliments from the masses, who, by the way, very clearly want to be more than just friends. So I don't blame you for being suspicious, and I honestly hope things work out for the best, because if you continue on this path, I can only see frustration and more contention in the future. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out in the description below and subscribe.